Hey tale tellers, good morning or good evening. Before we dive into today's SCP, if you enjoyed this episode, can you give me a big old like and leave some feedback? That would be great. Now, turn the lights off and the sound up, and get ready for something different. Oh god. They tried to set you on fire this time. I heard the screams, not just yours. Look, this time, there's no time to chat. You must heal from this now. Our next cipher is about a pen. SCP-067. The Artist's Pen. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. When not in use or the subject of study, the pen is to be stored in its felt-lined wooden box. The nib is to be corked and all art and writings are to be submitted to SCP Research Command for analysis and further experimentation. Description: the SCP is a fountain pen made by a German supply company called Pelican at some point between World War I and World War II. It is pale green in colour with a single red line going straight down along the side. The shell is oak and the nib is extremely sharp, capable of piercing human skin if pressed even lightly. Though it apparently lacks a reservoir, the nib never appears to run out of fresh ink. In addition, the pen writes in iron gold ink, which is suitable for artists, but would normally corrode typical fountain pens quickly. Research has surmised that any subject holding the pen loses all autonomy of the hand and arm that grasps it. Full sensation is intact, but the arm below the elbow is controlled by unknown forces, theoretically centralized within the pen. One effect is that the controlled hand will start to use the pen to write a detailed biography of the individual holding the pen. The biography will include such information as the person's name, age, date of birth, criminal record, fears, etc. Other times, the pen has been known to write such things as an occurrence that happened in the person's lifetime. For example, when test subject 1204M held the pen, he began to write a detailed record of a motor vehicle accident he had been in the year before. Later, the subject admitted that many details penned in the account were not readily available to him at present time, i.e., the subject had forgotten many elements present in the written work, including his previous car's license plate number, the other vehicle's colour, and so on. The subject stated that his memory of the event was so fresh in his mind during the transcription that he could taste the blood in his mouth. Subjects holding the pen have also been known to create intricate works of art, despite the subject lacking any formal art training or previous tendencies towards drawing. For example, test subject 1102F, a young woman with no previous artistic experience, was able to draw a winged creature resembling SCP Data Expunged, described by researchers present at Data Expunged. When subjects are asked to explain what happens when they hold the pen, the typical response is that the subject freely relinquishes control of their appendage to the pen, so that it may complete its work unimpeded. Despite being instructed to not draw or write, subjects describe feelings of empathy, admiration, and cooperation with the pen that coerces them towards a will not their own. Quoted response from a test subject: I don't really know how to explain it. It just kind of happened. When I picked the pen up, it seemed as if my hand wasn't my own anymore. I knew I could move it if I wanted to, but I chose not to, because I loved the picture I was drawing. It was like my hand had a life. Suddenly my hand stopped and I realized I had complete control over my hand again, and I put the pen back down. I looked at the drawing and saw how beautiful it was. I guess the pen decided it was done, and was finished with me. Experiment 1. The test subject, a male rhesus macaque aged 2 years 4 months, who had previously learned how to use pens and markers, was placed in a standard psychological surveillance room with neutral wall coloration and one-way observation mirrors, along with the pen, a work table, and a pad of paper. The subject picked up the pen in his left foot, then took it in his right hand, then tasted it. Subject then put the pen down on the paper and smelled it. After 30 seconds, the subject picked up the pen again and began tapping it repeatedly on the table. Subject also began tapping the pen on its own body, Subject tapped the pen with increasing force until ink was being splattered all over its fur. The subject then threw the pen onto the floor. Subsequent mechanical analysis revealed no damage. At this point, the subject tore a page from the pad of paper and began rubbing it on the ink of its fur. This continued for 3 minutes, after which the subject clutched the page in its teeth and leapt from the work table onto the ledge of the observation mirror. It did so with such force that the table was knocked over. The subject began smearing the ink from the paper onto the observation mirror, while making repeated vocalizations. Subsequent analysis revealed that 50% of the vocalizations were the typical distress vocalizations of the rhesus macaque, and 50% were unfamiliar. After 6 minutes of smearing ink on the observation mirror, the subject began tearing at the page with his teeth and claws, but dropped it before destroying more than 25% of the paper. The subject then collapsed on the floor, breathing rapidly and repeating the unfamiliar, atypical vocalizations. The subject's handler reports that, once removed from the psychological surveillance room, subject's mood improved rapidly. The subject was closely observed for 2 months following the experiment, did not repeat the atypical vocalizations. The sheet of paper was filed away and data expunged. Amazing. Your arms, your skin, they're back to normal? As if nothing had happened. You are truly amazing. Rest. Rest for now. Thank you so much for listening. It's because of people like you that keep this podcast going, really. Tale-tellers like yourself and your friends are the people that help spread these great stories around. So I have much to thank you for. And please don't forget, I love receiving requests from tale-tellers, that's you guys, where I get stories from fans, both from the web and their own personal accounts. So please, contact me on SoundCloud, where I have my email listed below, and I promise you, your story will be put up here for all to hear. If you have a Twitter account, send me stories via direct message, and I'll respond straight away on getting it put together. Also, don't be shy. Us tale-tellers are a great company. There are many links in the description below, and if you ever use Podcast Addict, feel free to subscribe to me there, and you can download these stories for free for offline use. Not to mention you can always download them at SoundCloud. And as always, thank you so much, tale-tellers, and till next time.